Hello and welcome everyone. This is Harshal Desai from Express Computer, which is the IT publication from the Indian Express Group. I welcome you all to an exclusive conversation today with Mr. Sandeep Gupta, who is Chief Digital and Information Officer at Cairn Oil and Gas. Welcome, Mr. Gupta.
Thank you, Ashal. Appreciate you having me on this important forum. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure. It's our pleasure to have this opportunity to seek your responses to some of the questions that we would like to ask you. A brief about Cairn Oil and Gas. It's the largest private oil and gas exploration and production company in India, which has set an ambitious target of increasing its contribution to crude oil production in India from 25% to 50% in the years to come. And in this journey, developing the most advanced technologies is the key business imperative, as we all know. And India doubles down on its goal of reducing import dependence and achieving energy Atmanirbharta. So the organization is aggressively pursuing a cloud-first strategy where they prioritize deploying new solutions on the cloud completely and are migrating its existing on-premise computing onto the public cloud with a plan to migrate around 80% of workloads onto the cloud. We will seek more inputs and insights on these subjects and topics from Mr. Gupta. Uh, Mr. Gupta, as I have already introduced, in his current role, he leads the IT and digital function with key responsibilities to identify and execute digital projects across the upstream value chain of exploration, drilling, surface, and subsurface operations. And prior to this organization, he worked with a Kearney, where he led the Digital Center of Excellence with significant experience in formulating digital strategy and achieving tangible saving through automation, IT sourcing, and offshoring. So once again, we welcome Mr. Sandeep Gupta to this exclusive conversation, and let's understand more from Mr. Sandeep Gupta. Gupta, to start, this conversation, the first thing that we would love to understand from you is how your organization's integrated Petrotechnical cloud is now a major step towards digitization in the industry, and how will it pave the way for more innovation and progress in the oil and gas sector?
Sure, Harshal. Harshal, before I answer this question, I'll give you a quick context as to how the oil and gas, specifically upstream oil and gas industry works, and where does Petrotechnical come into play. See, if you look into the value chain, the first part is the exploration part, where we try to assess where we want to drill the wells. Once the wells are dug up, then you basically extract, you lay a pipeline, and then you transport it. Now, for the first part where we do the exploration, this is again divided into 2 or 3 major parts. The first out of that 3 parts is a study of the seismic data. So basically, you get a lot of terabytes of data. This can be sourced either from government agencies, or you can gather it yourself. For example, what is the type of the rocks in a certain area? Because we want to ascertain whether the oil will come out from that area or not. So that's the first part of it. And once you ascertain something, then you do an appraisal well, which is basically you drill a well and see what you have found out is right or not. If that works, then you subsequently start drilling more wells. Now, this life cycle, the entire cycle lasts around 2.5 years, 2 to 2.5 years. The analysis to the drilling part of it. And if you look into, subdivide into this, the main challenge was we were having workstations, around 120 workstations from a geophysics and geoscientist perspective on premise. So some of the appraisals and some of the analysis used to take hours because we are speaking of terabytes of data. So last year we decided that why not move this data over to cloud? And again, we are speaking about 2 data. One is non-processed data, which we get from government. After we run certain softwares, etc., we get a process data. Then the geoscientists work on this process data to find out what are the potential drilling opportunities. Even the process data we are speaking about 500 plus terabytes of this data. This was lying all on premise on our data center as well as a partner data center in Gurgaon. We decided let's move over to cloud for this. Now, it took us almost 4 months to move that data. And again, very interesting story. We thought we will transfer this data over to the data pipe, and we realized we do not have enough bandwidth. Even if we go through express route, which is the biggest of the pipe to transfer data, it will take months. We had to physically offload that data in servers through trucks. We have to transport it to Pune in the data center, and then we had to upload it. So that was an interesting story behind this, but finally we got it done, and we can see the immediate benefits which are coming out from this. I mean, if you ask me, it has crunched my procurement cycle. Immediately, I can have a person working on immediately on these areas right now. Various other benefits overall from a business perspective, if you see, it has crunched my analysis cycle roughly by 30%. So approximately 6 months of gain I am getting right now in actually arriving at my first target well, which was taking 2 years, 2.5 years. Right now I can do in 1 year, 2 months, around that time frame. So there are other tacit benefits which we are getting from this, but it has been a remarkable exercise and a turnaround project for us.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for those inputs. Now, uh, you know, as you are moving onto the cloud, right? We would love to understand your views on your organization's strategy to reduce its carbon footprint also due to the cloud transformation. What are your take on this?
Correct. See, again, there are different angles when we speak about carbon footprint. I would mostly answer from an IT. There are other angles
Yes.
specifically about sustainability and planting trees as well, which is the important part of the overall strategy. But specifically from IT perspective, taking out our on-premise footprint from our own as well as partner data center, moving over to efficient cloud-based system is part of our strategy. To give you an example, the project which I just spoke about, Petrotechnical Cloud, the workstation which we moved gave us a saving of 21 kilotons of CO2. That is the saving which we are speaking about. This is again a journey. I mean, this is one part of it, but at the same time, we are also trying to build various other facets in terms of the projects which we do. What is the carbon footprint each of the projects are, so that we get a holistic view around the project's cost itself, when actually bidding for these. But from an IT perspective, moving to efficient and best-in-class data centers, energy efficient, is our strategy.
Right. Okay. Now, with this transformation, right, with your data consolidation enabled by cloud-based platform, how it has allowed the organization to make data-driven decisions, and especially by using the technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning. If you can please comment on this.
Yeah, again, I will divide this into two parts. One is more from a technical perspective, what our strategy has been from a
Hmm.
data perspective.
Hmm.
And the second is, a very important part of it is the people and the process part of it. That I will cover in the second part. The first part on the technology front, we are on Azure Data Lake, and all our data. And again, see, when you speak to a consumer industry, you speak about customer data. When you speak to an upstream oil and gas, where we have dedicated customers, what you speak about data is the sensor data. The amount is equivalent. I think sensor data would be even more, in terms of the volume which we get, unlike customers. So we are speaking about, huge millions and millions of tags which we get from sensors. We need to analyze that. Now, all this data right now goes over to our Azure data lake. We have been using 3G, 4G networks, cellular network, to straight away upload the data over to cloud. I think with 5G would be a game changer as it goes forward. But right now, this strategy is working pretty perfectly for us in terms of getting the data over to cloud. Once we get the data over to cloud, there our AI ML engine runs, and then we have specific use cases.
Okay. Now, uh, how Metaverse is it also helping you in your digital transformation journey? We spoke about AI and ML, but Metaverse is also something that uh, you're working on these technologies also.
Yes, Arshil, and I am actually very passionate about these technologies because, you know, many times you have to take a leap of faith, understand, pilot these technologies. Their maturity curve is not present at this point of time, but when it comes, it will give you the benefit.
Okay.
So specifically for Metaverse, we piloted at Cairn. It's called Cairnverse. We piloted it few months back.
Hmm.
And again, we were very clear that what are the use cases which we are going forward at this point of time. They are very specific to employee and HR. This relates to employee onboarding. It relates to, we have people in Barmer, Delhi, different locations. They can actually speak to each other through a common platform. So it's most, we also want to do town hall, CEO town hall through this platform. And ultimately, as things mature, we are piloting digital twin in our plant. Metaverse can be the platform to integrate these digital twins into one. That is our ambition. Apart from that, very important thing, we have built a virtual replica of our plant. So previously we were having trainees who joined GETs. They used to go physically and visit the plant. Now we can show them the replica and explain at least at level one, and then they can go to the plant as well. But I mean, these are some of the specific use cases and the benefits which we got through Metaverse.
Right. And how about the technologies like you besides the cloud metaverse? I mean, your take on virtual and augmented reality, drones, and blockchain-based data exchanges. These are also some technologies which are playing their role in the industry. What do you think?
It is, and we have piloted. You asked me VR, and I'll give you a use case where we have piloted this drone. We have piloted that. Very important. Blockchain, we tried. We did not find many use cases. We still see, it is taking a bit of a time to mature, even from a enabling functions like procurement or finance. We could not find a very specific case as well as partners who can do the blockchain for us. But to speak on the other technologies, we have our training. So, there are trainings where an employee needs to understand it is the height training. So if you are on a height, how does it look like? So you have to undergo this training even from an offshore platforms. So you go to a rig which is in a sea, how does it feel? Those trainings are there. We have implemented via platform for this. All our trainings related to this are being conducted. And we have in fact scaled this up. We tried it. There are 4 BUs for us. We tried it in one BU. Now the response was so good that we are scaling it up in the other BUs as well. This is on the VR, Harshal. Lastly, on the drone, very important. You see, we have overhead lines, power lines. So any disruption to that causes a disruption to our entire plant. Now we have drones who do inspection every 6 months, find out, if something is going to snap, and through an AI ML prediction, they predict and do a predictive maintenance before things go wrong. So we are actively using all this technology in our operations.
Right. Okay. There are many other questions related to this, but I'd like to ask a different general question, which is probably related to industry. I mean, according to few reports, scaling of technologies has been a challenge in oil and gas sector. So, right, is it true? And if yes, so what are the probable reasons for it?
See, based on my experience, scaling up is tough when the value is difficult to prove. If the value is proven from inception to the completion, the scaling up is not a challenge. And again, we work with startups. So even, you consider the various things in this, startups needs to be agile, but at the same time, if you speak about the scale up, see, the key thing there is, have you proven the benefit of the pilot or not? We have seen cases specifically on AI ML where the prediction did not come correctly. We assumed it will be 90% prediction, it came out to be 40%. In those cases, there is no point in scaling it up because we ourselves are not sure that what are the benefits coming out. If the benefits are very clear, we have seen the adoption and scaling up in other BUs. And generally, as a concept, we pilot it in one of the BU and then scale it up in the other BUs.
All right. You mentioned about startup ecosystem. You're working with startups also in some
Yes,
your.
and that's been a core strategy, from a digital perspective. So we have an initiative called Spark, where we have 100 plus startups who are registered with us. So whenever, and we do an ideation workshop regularly with the business to find out, what are the problem statement. Again, a very purely, what is the problem statement? Two-line problem statement. How can that help you? And what are the benefits you see? Even not a number, but at least some qualitative benefits. We circulate these challenges to this ecosystem of partners, and they come up with solution. And again, very important thing is that you also need to have your procurement process aligned to your startup ecosystem. You cannot go with a traditional procurement system where it takes months and then you evaluate, what is your revenue, how many years you have been incorporated. These all questions do not work for startups. So you need to be very agile in getting a startup, giving them a small POC, test the concept, and then scale it up. So we have been actively using our startup ecosystem for multiple ventures to try out digital projects, and that's a core part of our strategy.
Great to know this. Now, again, coming back to, we spoke about scaling up. That can be one of the challenges for the industry. In entire this digital transformation journey, what are the main challenges that you have so far faced, or probably your peers face in the industry? We would like to understand that.
See, I think if I categorize two or three challenges, if you see energy and oil and gas holistically, they have been a bit late to catch up on the digital bandwagon in a way. So, one of the key challenge always has been to prove the value. Digital projects should not be the shaft in the sense that they are very shiny, they are good, but they don't deliver value. That misconception has to be very clearly taken up front before you embark on any projects. And the way to do that always is to have a very clear value drivers tree where you say that how are you getting benefits? Is it volume? Is it cost? Is it productivity or is it safety? It has to lie into some of either multiple buckets or one buckets to, before you start that engagement. I think that has been a challenge and a learning for us, that very clearly define the value before you start the engagement. Number two has been, how do you quickly realize the benefits? The importance of, in agile terms, we call it, it's just like a venture capital. You show a benefit in a small way in a small project. Whatever the gains are coming out of it, you keep on investing in your next project. So how do you build that mechanism? Usually people think about investment, but when you divide it into various small agiles and projects, you keep on then executing and putting the benefits in the next iteration. That's also the methodology part of it. So these are a couple of very high level challenges which I can remember. And the third part is always be bold in some of the technology experiments. They might not give you immediate results, but you need to be bold and take a conviction and a leap of faith to try these technologies out.
Right. One concern I would like to highlight is related to cybersecurity. Right. I mean, when any organization is on its digital transformation journey, they on their way, they tie up with various private players, various organizations who are probably offering different kind of services, and one of them can be security service. But ultimately, it's your product, it's your data, it's your organization, right? So you have to take care of your product, your technology. So how cybersecurity is a concern for you, and how do you overall manage the data security part also, cybersecurity part also? What are the strategies that you adopt?
Yes, you correctly pointed out, cybersecurity is a very important element. Nowadays, we hear all the stories of data breach, etc. So cybersecurity is very important. And then when you club it with the OT part of it, which is the sensor data or the machine data, it is super important, right? Because think about the potential of somebody hacking onto the OT systems and getting a control of your entire plant. I mean, this is what we are speaking about. very important. Again, how we mitigate it is multiple channels. I think one is very clear about, at the intersection of IT and OT, we have sufficient mechanism to take care of from a cybersecurity perspective. Mm. And again, I think we will have to accept from a manufacturing perspective, uh, OT data, anyhow, you will not be able to directly put it over to the cloud, and you don't want to be. You want to put a copy of it, but direct OT data, you may not want to, because some of the formats, etc., which come out from the OEMs are so specific that they are still not supported from a cloud perspective. So that's one part of it, and we are fine with it, and that's our strategy. The second part is the IT part of it, where we again are trying to push as much as possible the security controls over to cloud. Because very clearly, what we do internally and we try to manage, it will be much more mature from a security perspective, the tools and the technologies available over onto the cloud from an IT perspective. So that's been our strategy from an IT perspective. Apart from that, we also conduct regular session with our senior leadership team, etc., on the ransomware, what happens, scenario play out, etc. So we keep leadership team updated, and we have a strategy around that as to, how do we tackle that.
Right. Great. Now, since you spoke about leadership team, so how you know the support kind of support you require from the leadership team, and how the Cairn leadership is providing this support to people who are working in IT domain.
Yeah, I have been fortunate, very high level support straight away coming from CEO around the digital mandate and what do we and how do we, execute the digital strategy. How it works tangibly is that, see, my team is a horizontal digital team, but at the same time, there needs to be champions inside each of the views as well who propagate digital. Then only we can work together and execute. So there has been one digital lead from each of the BUs who actually helps in execution of the identified programs. Apart from that, we regularly have hackathons, digital analytics, etc., across the organizations, which increases the digital literacy as well as it creates the excitement, especially to the young folks around digital and what are the possibilities in that.
Right. I'm sure the IT team must be, because getting this support, because Cairn Oil and Gas, as we know, is known for to be a pioneer in technology. I mean, be it 4D seismic technology, or you talk about the longest horizontal well in India, or you speak about the jet pump operation, or other microseismic hydrofac monitoring technology. So you have taken a lot of initiatives, and of course in technology also you are taking. That's great. Now, last thing, probably last question for the day, I'd like to ask you, how has been your experience with SBU leaders? Uh, you know, if you can
No,
please talk about how to drive the business delivery through accelerating digital transformation.
again, see, digital only progress when the business is very tightly aligned with it. You cannot have a digital mandate if the business is not aligned. So for each of the SBU leads, again, we have how we are set up is one SBU digital lead from the SBU team, and then a corresponding digital lead from the horizontal, which is my team. We have regular meetings. We have the support of the SBU lead. And again, the support not only comes from, pushing the team, but at the same time giving ideas as well. Asking questions to their team, why we can't do this through digital? Why do you put in an effort? What is the latest technology? Questioning the status quo. This is what support which I get from the BU leads to drive the digital. And apart from that, everybody's aligned on the value which brings. What we have done is specifically created a value tree so that whenever someone is embarking on a digital project, they look into what are the drivers. So example, if the machine is not breaking, previously it was breaking in 6 months, now it's breaking in a year. You also save, if you look into the diesel as well as the carbon emission of a person actually traveling to 160 kilometers just to inspect that as well. So this is all neatly put in a value tree so that people understand that what are the benefits they get when they implement a digital project.
Right. Thank you. And one last comment. I mean, would like to understand from you, which are the areas where you still think there's a lot of scope for digital transformation, a lot of scope for emerging technologies to play a role in oil and gas sector, and your final comments.
See, I think the area which will be the game changer would be the 5G. As we start looking into, specifically from a remote oil field perspective, what it can do, I think that would be a game changer as we start exploring that technology and the implications. Right now, for example, it's not available in the remote fields. Once it comes, it will be a game changer for us. Apart from that, many of the other associate technologies, whether it is drone inspection, etc. I think that is the value which I see going forward from the use of the technology.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Sandeep Gupta, Chief Digital and Information Officer, Cairn Oil and Gas. Thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful interacting with you. We shall close this conversation formally here.